and welcome to the Miracle of Prosperity. I am Reverend Jim Webb, your host, the author of the book The Soul of Prosperity, as well as 30 P's to Prosperity, Prosperity from A to Z, and creating your self-manifesting vision board. I also serve as the senior minister of the Tacoma Metaphysical Chapel in Silver Spring, Maryland, and am a counselor and a healer and a life coach and, of course, a minister. Each week we come to you and we want to expand your experience of prosperity and your understanding of prosperity. So many have been conditioned to believe that prosperity is money and stuff. But prosperity is really so much more. Prosperity begins as an inner sense of loving energy that is connected to the infinite energy of love, that then shows up and out in our world as loving circumstances, whether that be loving circumstances professionally, whereas Florence Scovel Shinn says, we have a wonderful job with wonderful pay, where we provide a wonderful service in a wonderful way. It could, that loving energy that we connect with, contact with, identify with, and allow to manifest through us, could manifest as an inner harmony that shows up as harmonious relationships, whether they be professional relationships, family relationships, or intimate relationships. Prosperity could also show up as a life of ease instead of a life of struggle, as we recognize ourselves as wholly whole, innocent, perfect, beloved children of God, and we withdraw any unconscious desire to hurt or punish ourselves, and we withdraw any belief in our sinfulness and therefore our need to be redeemed or to atone for sins, when we realize that we are already at one with the light and that we deserve an easy and effortless life journey and that there is no price to be paid for that, we can have a life of peace and joy. So there are so many ways that prosperity can show up, and each week we endeavor to look at prosperity, to learn more about it, and to allow it even more. So the title of today's show is Allowing the Miracle of Prosperity. Just like the energy of the divine is always all around us and always within us and always within all things, prosperity, which is an expression of divine love, is already here. Our task is to allow it to manifest by releasing any barriers to its manifestation. And so that's what we're going to explore today. And we're going to explore that based on a wonderful new book that I found called Dream Big. Dream Big by Laura Topper. Now, Dr. Laura Topper is a mystical, metaphysical teacher. Obviously, she's an author, and she's the founder of the Women's Empowerment Women of Power movement. She's a coach, a counselor, and she's assisted many on their life journey. And I love this book, Dr. Laura. Thank you so much for letting me know of its availability and for sharing it and you with the world.
Oh, wow. Thank you for inviting me here. I'm really excited and grateful and humbled to be here with you, Reverend Jim, today, and the viewers, your viewers that are watching. Thank you.
Absolutely. What a pleasure. Well, I want to cut to the chase of this book and how we can allow prosperity, okay?
Yeah.
One of the things that you say repeatedly on page 24, you say, you are the power that you've been looking for. And later in the book, you say, It doesn't take a lightning bolt for you to experience spirit. And so I want to start with that. The fact that we often are waiting for some sort of outside confirmation,
Yes.
some sort of outside signal that we're okay or that it's okay to experience ourselves as the godlike deserving of prosperity. And your premise there kind of gives us a different perspective on that. So, can you tell us, our viewers, a little bit more about the idea you are the power you've been looking for?
Of course. I mean, it's amazing that you've read out those two sentences, and it's like you are the power, and it doesn't take a lightning bolt. So really, it's like you are the lightning bolt. We are the fuel and the energy and the essence of it already, of the divine source that is here, flowing and knowing through us, as us. And yet for many, myself included, it's almost as if we need to have recognition of that by seeking outside of ourselves in the physical world. We need to have that assertion from what we're
Yes.
seeing in our physical world, and whether it's from another, whether it's from a situation, whether it's we're waiting for something to happen, we're waiting
Yes.
for life to be perfect until we, prosperity for me is actually it's creative opportunity and
Mm.
possibilities. And I know that in the mind, the one mind, in the divine as God, there are infinite possibilities
Yes.
right now for each of us to say yes for our lives, for what it is we truly desire to do and how we show up. There are so many ways that we can,
Yes.
and yet we stop ourselves from delving in,
Yes.
diving into the sea, that infinite sea of possibilities.
Yes.
There's
And
the
you,
prosperity. But it's like
yes.
when we have an idea in our mind that with
Mm-hmm.
this belief that is quite universal, that
Mm-hmm.
there isn't enough, or I'm not good enough,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not enough, that can be
Mm-hmm.
such a limiting, it can stop us from really saying yes to those possibilities. And those
Yes.
possibilities are the prosperity. They're waiting
Yes.
for us to say, okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to delve in. I'm going to be brave enough or courageous enough to say, this is mine to do. And I recognize in myself how many times I would say, well, I'll do that. I'll do that one day. When?
Mm-hmm.
I'll do
Yes.
that when
Mm-hmm.
when this happens, or when there's I have enough money, or when. And so it's just putting it out into never land, which
Yes.
it, yeah.
Yes, and that is wonderful because you just said two things that I would like to emphasize with our viewers. One of them, which I've never heard it put this way, and you put it this way so brilliantly: prosperity is unconditional, just as God's love is unconditional.
Totally.
What you said, I want to really emphasize this with our viewers. You said we've all been waiting for some sort of condition outside of us to be fulfilled in order to allow the prosperity that is an infinite supply
Hmm.
as we swim in the ocean of God's infinite possibilities. And
Mm.
there are no conditions necessary for us to allow that. I really want to emphasize this with our viewers because that view is one that I've never thought of. So I thank you, Dr. Webb.
Oh, well, because I think you said it in when you opened the show, you said that prosperity is so much more than money. And we have
Yes.
this idea, or I have this idea at some point, that, well, if the money's there, then I'm prosperous.
Mm.
And the opportunities and the possibilities come before the money. And
Yes.
and there is a law that, when we realize that the law of reciprocity is
Hmm.
like, it's priming the pump, as Esther Hicks would say, Abraham would say,
Yes.
you've got to prime
Yes.
the pump first. And when
Yes.
we're giving to ourselves, I love
Uh-huh.
what you're saying. Prosperity is loving ourselves, which is giving back to ourselves,
Yes.
knowing that we're love and being that loving
Yes.
presence for ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
doors fly open.
Mm. Say that again. Doors
Doors
fly
fly
open.
open. And when we're loving ourselves, that's
Yes.
that's the frequency of
Yes.
prosperity.
And you know what, Dr. Laura? That reminds me of an old scripture. There was an old scripture, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all else shall be added unto you. And then Jesus, the Christed man, an avatar and a guide, said, know ye not that the kingdom of heaven was within you?
Right.
So putting those together, it kind of encapsulates what you said. We cultivate this inner energy of love and light and grace and peace and deservingness and harmony.
Yeah.
And as we cultivate that from within, the doors to our lives fly open.
Fly open. And it feels, that's the miracle of prosperity, because it feels as if, oh my, this is a miracle. How did that happen? This is as if
Yes.
by magic this happened. And it's not. It's the miracle of building consciousness
Yes.
intentionally. I think Reverend Michael Beckwith says, be intentional about our, or put attention on our intention.
Yes.
Place so where is the intention? What is the intention for the day? And every day wiping the slate clean and starting again and saying,
Yes.
okay, today I'm prosperous. Today I'm going to be the prosperity that I seek to experience for my
Yes.
life. And so if we're waiting for that lightning bolt, or we're waiting for someone else to do it for it, there is no one else.
Mm.
Because
Yes.
when we do it first, we're giving permission to others to treat us in that way, and we're ready to receive the invitation, if you like, for the
Yes.
new possibilities that are waiting right here and
Yes.
now.
Yes.
They're here.
Yes. And I wanna dig deeper in to explore a couple of other things you said. And I want to explore them in pithy sort of ways that enable us to focus on them. One of the things that you just brought out that I want our viewers to hold on to is that every day is a new opportunity for new manifestation, almost like that movie Groundhog Day.
Yeah,
And the
exactly.
reason that I want to bring this out to our viewers is because we give so much weight and heft to our past, because our past and its trauma, perhaps, is so deeply imprinted in our mind that we do not allow ourselves to have the divine amnesia like Bill Murray did in Groundhog Day,
Yeah,
to realize today is a new day. Today is new possibilities. The past is written in disappearing ink. The past has no power over me, like
yeah,
Catherine Ponder said. So I
yeah,
will not be held back. I will not be ground down by the past.
no,
For every moment is a new moment of creation. And you intimated that in what you said as one of the ways to allow the miracle of prosperity. It's not based on the past. It has
yeah,
nothing to do with the past. Each moment you are made anew. And there's a scripture that comes to mind. Behold, I make all things new again.
yeah.
You want to say some more about that,
I
Dr. Laura?
do, because the way I see it is about frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And frequency will, the frequency I'm choosing to operate from or as is the frequency that I'm choosing to magnetize, if you like. It's state
Yes.
of being.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm choosing a more expansive
Mm-hmm.
state of being,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm choosing to live by that and from that,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
see that expansion, because the
Yes.
frequency of the things that I'm really desiring for my
Mm-hmm.
life, I'm going to be matching that. If I'm
Yes.
choosing a lower frequency, and it's all God, it's
Mm-hmm.
all God expressing, but if I'm choosing to be in the frequency of blame,
Mm-hmm.
unforgiveness,
Mm-hmm.
doubt, shaming on myself,
Mm-hmm.
limitation,
Mm-hmm.
lack, all of those, what we would call lower frequency,
Mm-hmm.
that arena. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
choosing to operate from that, then I'm just experiencing life from that place.
Okay.
I'm
So would you say
experiencing.
then,
Mm.
yes. So would you say then that every night when we go to sleep, just like when we put our computers to sleep and they get a reset, would we then get a reset and have an opportunity to choose a different frequency? So yesterday and all the yesterdays of yesterday have no power over us because we get a divine reset every night or anytime we choose?
Totally. And not just every night, every moment. We can choose that in every moment. We could stop right now and say, right, okay, I'm going to reset. I'm going
Uh-huh.
to recalibrate. I'm going to
Yes.
clear. Nighttime's
Yes.
good because we go into the alpha state, and so we can dream state that in that
Yes.
kind of in that kind of half in, half out, sleepy time kind of place. And that's really beautiful because then we're not like, it's like the conscious mind is switched off from the chatter. So it's a
Yes.
good time to draw in the feelings and to renew,
Hmm.
be renewed at that time, and in the morning as well. I like at
Yes.
nighttime, I like to do a Rosicrucian exercise,
Hmm.
which is to really go back, just review the day,
Hmm.
and feelings that come up from certain situations of aspects of the day that I'm thinking of in that moment. So I take my journal and I take a review on the day. It might take me 20 minutes, just
Hmm.
bring my mind back to things that have happened in the day, and the things that feel good, like those wins of the day. I really get
Yes.
back into the feeling of that.
Okay.
Oh, this happened. Wow. I'm remembering this, and I'm feeling good. And
Hmm.
then just gently, releasing and forgiving anything from that doesn't feel like I was really kind of authentically showing up, and really
Okay.
catching that feeling as I
Hmm.
drift off. Then, well, that's the feeling. I'm kind of bottling that feeling within me, and that's the feeling I'm going into sleep with. It feels
Yes.
good, and it's like then I'm lifted as I'm
Yes.
going to sleep. And
Mm.
I think anything that we can do to get us into that feeling of that frequency, it's helping. That's a prosperity frequency.
Yes, absolutely. So then that begs the question, who is creating? Am I creating from that highest frequency and my highest self, where I know myself as one with the creative power and spirit, where I know myself as one with love, so I create only with love, where I know myself as only infinite possibilities, so I create infinite possibilities and not just the constraints that my ego believes myself to be?
Mm.
Or am I creating with the ego and its fears and its doubts and its regrets and its shames and its limitations? So that's a choice we can make too. Can you speak on that, Dr. Laura?
And I believe that I'm not even creating. I'm the
Yes.
vessel. I'm the channel. I'm the conduit. We each are
Mm-hmm.
the conduit, to the degree that we
Yes.
realize that and that we open up to being that. So
Yes.
I'm the
Yes.
beingness. We are the beingness.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that God, the divine love, life, whatever we choose to call this infinite power presence, is working as each of us, through each of us. And so Louise Hay, I think she said it so perfectly.
Yes.
Am I going to the sea or to the river with a thimble, or am I going with like a huge kind of container that's like a big vessel, that kind of
Yes.
tunnel like,
Yes.
where the water can come gushing through. So I'm choosing my own capacity to receive, to give and receive. I'm choosing that. We're choosing it in each and every moment. And God is the creator.
Mm-hmm. God is just
Am I
expressing
open to
oneness as us.
receive? Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you so much so far for all the light you've put on the subject. And we're going to take a break, and then we're going to look at some other ways that we can allow the miracle of prosperity here on the New Thought Media Network.
Choice, your creative superpower. We have the power to manifest as we dedicate attention to our thoughts, but often miss opportunity to achieve the greatest good. Your superpower is waiting to be unleashed to unlock a fuller, more rewarding world for all. Join us every Thursday at noon Mountain Time for choice, your creative superpower with Zoe DeMuro. And
Blessings, everybody. My name is Jafon Seeley. Could you imagine what is actually possible when we start honoring and recognizing our inherent worth, realizing that we are that which is assisting and co-creating our experience? And with that understanding, start recognizing that every human, every individual, everything that we interact with reflects that same inherent worth.
It's not about an adventure, it's about the atmosphere of the consciousness of adventure, the lifestyle of adventure. How many people would say that their lifestyle is adventurous?
My name is Lisa Benson. I'm a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant and the author of Anchored in Bias, Fired Over White Tears. It's a book detailing my lived experiences with workplace bias and what fueled my passion for normalizing conversations about differences and creating safe spaces for everyone to bring the best version of themselves to life every day.
Please help us say thank you to our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake, Unity Spiritual Center, Kitchener, Om Center for Spiritual Living, La Mesa, Satya Center, Center for Spiritual Living, North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and Center for Spiritual Living, Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. Thank you for making New Thought Media Network a place to be. Please come be you. And remember, like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, positively inspiring.
And we're back here on the Miracle of Prosperity with Dr. Laura Topper and her book, Dream Big, Dream Big. Yes. And one of the things that caught my attention as I read your book, Dr. Laura, was on page 30. And it was the question that can help us allow miracles. Are you willing to shift focus from living from effect to living as cause? And I'm going to repeat that and give some background for it. And I want us to unpack that a little bit more because it's so important. Okay? The question again, are you willing to shift focus from living from effect to living as cause? So let me set that up a little bit. There's the law of inner cause and outer effect. Whatever we see, and I put this in a pithy saying: everything I see begins and ends with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so, whatever is going on within me, both in this moment or what has gone on with me as an amalgamation of all of my consciousness, shows up in my outer world. That's the law of inner cause. What's going on within me has its outer effect. And A Course in Miracles elaborates on this. A Course in Miracles says the world is just an effect of your seeing. If you see yourself, God, and the world differently, you will experience a different effect in your world. Now, that differs from the way many of us have been miseducated into seeing the world. We've been miseducated into seeing the world not as the effect, but we've been miseducated into seeing the world as the cause. The world won't let me do this. The world has the power. The world is the one. The world is the way. And as opposed to realizing the world is just a projection of my thinking. And so what you say here, I'll read it again. Are you willing to shift your focus from living from effect to living as cause? Meaning, I guess, are you willing to shift your focus from believing that there is some power outside of you in the world that determines your ability to experience prosperity? Or are you willing to shift your focus into that place within you that can allow prosperity? Can you elaborate on this a little bit more, Dr. Longwood?
Oh, I can. Well, first of all, Reverend Jim, what I'm inspired to say is that on the cover of the book is a labyrinth. And I put the labyrinth there purposely.
Yes.
Because I believe that prosperity, as same as health, vitality, loving relationships, and knowing, who we are, our relationship to the divine, it's not a destination. It's about the journey. It's a journey. It's like if we think of prosperity as something to get at some point, at some time, I'm wanting to get it. I want to be prosperous and I'm trying to get it from somewhere out there. Then that's just, there's nowhere out there. I think you've just said that. It's the out there is the projection of what I'm thinking and feeling at this time. And the world, my world, we each have our individual worlds that we are operating as. And my world is different to your world, is different to Reverend Michael's world, who's producing today. And, we and the viewers, we each have our own individual world and set of beliefs and ideologies of how we operate and what we're operating from. So if I'm choosing, I wrote an article about this actually not long ago. It's never about the money. It's never about the money. It's about how I am becoming, what I'm becoming, who I'm becoming, or my knowing of what I am and who I am on the journey, the unfolding journey of realizing that prosperity is my willingness to open up, to be the greater vehicle of God. That's how I see it. So cause is that first cause is God, the divine. If I'm looking outwards to get that adrenaline fix, or to, that will happen when that happens, and then I'll have that and my life will be fulfilled. It doesn't work that way, because we have to turn to the divine. We have to turn within first. First cause, we have to know the first cause, which isn't our thoughts. That's the cause. The first cause is God, whatever we choose to call this thing itself. I'm comfortable with the word God.
Me too.
That for me is prosperity. The more I can lean in on God, as the divine, as me, I'm opening up to the prosperity that's available, receiving from the divine. Rather than trying to get something to receive from the world of effect. It's like receive from God first. And God has the wisdom. God is the knowing. God is the aha moment, ring that person, what we might call intuition, to, when we're not just taking action because it's kind of frantic action in the world because of desperation, rather inspired action through visioning, through meditation, opening up to the voice of the divine that's always here guiding us. But we shut down because we get caught up in this world of effect. That you're right, we're trained to believe and operate from, societal rules, mass consciousness, which isn't always very productive or wanting us to be the powerful beings that we are. It
And
tries
actually, it is quite
to push us.
unproductive because
Yeah.
we always believe that there is some power outside of us deciding our fate, as opposed to understanding that we decide our fate with our consciousness. And when we
With our
decide, and when we move into alignment with the one thought, the one God, the one power, the one consciousness, which is simply love,
Yeah.
that fate is already decided, for it is, no matter how it looks in our world, it is a fate of love.
Exactly. And what I'm realizing more as I'm studying this and just embodying this, all of this more and more and more, is that, word is God. Word is speaking as me right now, as you right now. God is speaking as me right now. God is speaking as you right now. And we're very powerful. Every word that we say is God happening through our mouths. And that's not just, that's intention also, and our feelings and, our actions. We're all God in action.
Yes, and
So-
let's explore that for one more moment, because that is so powerful too. The power of the word. And let's explore that in a slightly different way than we may be familiar with exploring it. God is idea. God is the idea of love, grace, peace, wholeness, hope, infinite possibilities, ease, comfort, abundance, joy, fulfillment. God is love, and all those things and all those aspects of God's love, and a million others that we haven't even dared to think about, right?
Yeah.
So God ideates to us. And the way that I think about this, because see, I have to have visual memes. Remember Columbia Pictures and the lady in the lighthouse with the, I think she was the Statue of Liberty, actually.
She was, I think.
But holding that torch and the light came from the torch. I think of that, the light ideating from the Statue of Liberty or the Columbia Pictures logo, that light emanating as a symbol for God ideating.
Yes.
And God ideating to each and every one of us, offering us a divine idea, right?
Yes.
And when we are living in a world of effect, we dismiss the idea. I can't do that. What are you talking about? Me? Who, me? But when we are living as in awareness of ourself as the cause, we get that idea, we allow that idea, we integrate that idea, and that esoteric energy of idea begins to take form with the word.
Yes.
It's like the idea is a lump of clay, and we put it into words, we begin its crystallization into form.
Yes.
So the word is a powerful forum for bringing idea into form.
Yes. That's so beautiful. I love that imagery of the light and her holding the torch, the radiance.
Yes. And so the power of the word is the power that we all have to speak God's truth into form. We can all speak God's truth into form, and that is your power. You have the power to speak God's truth into form. I'm not talking about you, because you know this. Our viewers can be reinforced with this as well.
Yes, and we all know it. Our viewers know this also. We're waking ourselves and everyone up here to this. Yes. That figure of the statue holding the torch, that's seeded. I mean, you talk about love. You're always talking about love and beaming that message of love. That's seeded in our hearts. That statue, it's not somewhere out there. I know God. This idea of God as transcendent, also right here in my heart. Yes. So how willing am I to be that light, that radiance of
Yes.
light. And
Yes.
Thomas Troward talks about this, being the divine distributor of
Mm,
the light. We are each
mm,
divine distributors, and we can either distribute fully or close down and
mm.
not shine our lights and not be that
Yes.
prosperous being that we are. And
Let's unpack that a little bit more.
mm,
Because it triggers something that I think our viewers need to have reinforced. When you are a channel, a vessel, or a distributor of light in its fullest form, you are a lighthouse that draws others to light. You give others permission to be in their light. You anchor this light on the earth that the earth might become enlightened. So your journey of prosperity is actually a journey of service. And this, I think, needs to be reinforced because sometimes we think that prosperity is selfish because we have been miseducated into thinking that the world is a zero-sum game, and that if I gain, someone else has to lose.
yes,
And we also get caught up in some things that may be caught up in our consciousness that believes that, oh, I must be a martyr in order to atone for my sins and
right,
prove my worthiness. And if I'm prospering, I'm not martyring. And if I'm not martyring, I'm not deserving, which is
right.
crazy. But many times thoughts like that may still be in the base of our consciousness. So if we were to understand that as you are a conduit, a channel, or a distributor of light, prosperity is its natural outgrowth,
Yes,
and that your job is to be a distributor of light and to emanate and to create and to allow and to demonstrate prosperity. That is a service to everyone else. What would you have to say about that, Dr. Laura?
oh, there's so many things I could say. I really want to share about that. You've said it, and I agree with all, with everything you're saying. What's coming to me is, what are our gifts and what do we love doing, and how do we want to show up in the world? Because prosperity for me is about really exacerbating our gifts. And that
Yes.
means knowing thyself. Knowing
Yes.
I did that for a long time. I was doing things that I felt were how I want to show up in the world with the way that I'm working. And I would just be doing it and half-heartedly feeling happy or feeling fulfilled until one day I realized, no, actually, it's not ticking that box for me. I'm just going through the Groundhog Day thinking that this is what I should be doing as a spiritual guide, teacher, whatever the label is. And I realized, wow, if I could really have that clean slate and do it completely again how I want it, how I really, really, truly, then what would I do differently? And that's what I realized, and that's what I'm doing now, because I was just in this habit of showing up thinking that that was enough to show up, but I wasn't feeling fulfilled. So I
In
was
other words,
kind of cheating on myself. Now, that isn't prosperity. That's just saying to me on a habitual level, I've just got to do anything to show up, and that will be enough. But it isn't. I think our responsibility for ourselves is to truly dig deep into what are our gifts, what are we good at, what's our skill set, what are our talents, what's our yearning, what is it that we feel really motivated for to make a change for others in the world, and then just go for it. And when
in
all of
other
that is
words,
aligned, it's like then we're held by spirit, by God. Like every step isn't a chore. It's okay, you're going to be helped with this next step. Things show up to support that. When we're not aligned, we're not really in alignment with the support. And so that's when we don't receive the prosperity.
yes. Okay. Now, one of the things you said in your book on page 40 was set aside the time to create,
Yeah.
which indicates to me that that is where you allow yourself to align, realign, and strengthen your alignment. What would you
Yes.
say about that?
And it's really important because for me, my spiritual practice time, or the time that I take, whether it's intentional, in the morning when I'm waking, or before I'm going to bed, or in the middle of the day if I do a treatment, or in those everyday moments to check myself if I'm frustrated with something that isn't working properly, or I've had a conversation that isn't flowing in the way that I feel it should be flowing. There are times like that to wake me up and to remind myself, okay, now's a good time to do some forgiveness. Now's a good time to look at the way I'm communicating. Now's a good time to make a shift and a change. It doesn't have to be a set time during the day. Build this into the day with life. With everyday life. It's like in the book of Esther, God isn't mentioned once. That's the only book in the Bible where God is not mentioned, because it's a reminder that God is in the everyday, mundane stuff that we're doing. God is in the washing up. God is in the, putting out the rubbish. God is in all of it. And so in every moment, we get an opportunity to look at what's going on and treat this mirror as a school, this mirror of life as a school every moment.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It takes a willingness to,
Yes.
and courage
Yes.
and conviction, and
Yes.
it's a practice.
Yes. And it also takes the courage to break prior patterns.
Totally.
Yes, you mentioned that you broke a pattern recently where
Yeah.
you were just serving by rote
Yes.
and just showing up, as
Yes.
opposed to allowing God to show through you in its unique way.
Yes.
And that was breaking a pattern.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things you talked about on page 75 of your book, fear is the great pattern holder, love is the pattern interrupter.
Yes.
And we're going to go to break. And when we come back, I want us to talk about interrupting old patterns that do not allow the miracle of prosperity.
Beautiful.
So we're going to go to break, and we'll be back here on the New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience, or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. behind the scenes, or being the star, let us bless our one. Contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
And we're back here on the New Thought Media Network with Dr. Laura Topper, author of Dream Big, Expect Miracles Now. And what we are going to talk about in this last segment is breaking old patterns in order to allow the miracle of prosperity. Dr. Laura, you mentioned a pattern that you broke, which was just showing up by rote, as opposed to being the light of God you were designed to be in order for the fullness of God's light to come through you.
Yeah.
And I'd like for you to elaborate on that and to help our guests and viewers understand how they too can show up as God.
Thank you, Reverend Jim. I would love to elaborate on that. Sometimes it takes a breakdown to have a breakthrough, and that can be with health or with relationships or with our way of communicating with ourselves, or a loss of something, seemingly a job or relationship. And for me, in the last year, that's happened twice with health issues that have been that have happened, and not long-term health issues, just really kind of being stopped in my tracks, I suppose, with chest infections and things like that have really kind of allowed me to take stock again of my life. And I believe that for me, I'm going to keep this in the eye. It was an amazing opportunity twice this year, in the year, to really release or dissolve fears that I knew were here inside of me, and to forgive and to do the work that is like peeling away the layers, and to really face things within myself of I suppose, fear of being me fully. And when I did that, especially this time, which that happened in June for me, just gone by, when I did that and I made some decisions that this is how I really want my life to be. And I know this is how I want my life to be. And I've known it for a while, and yet I've not lived into that. I've still kind of played, I've not allowed myself to experience life as I truly desire it to be. And that doesn't mean from a financial perspective. That really means more of what I'm doing every day. Because how we live every day is our prosperity. It's like, if we're not happy with the routines that we create, or the relationships that we're in, or the knowing of the connection that we are with the divine, and we don't have enough time to even practice what we want to be. If we're not doing all of that, then for me it was, I'm living a lie. I'm not being honest to myself. So I suppose coming back to, and that happened after I wrote the book. I had a kind of, it was like I needed to rest, and this was God's way of letting me rest, or my way of saying it's going to come out through health. And so in that time, I realized that I was in fear of really stepping into the things that were in my heart that I've been visioning on and writing about for a long, long time. And I've just been saying, no, one day it'll happen when I feel ready. When I meet the right person who will say, yes, I can help you with that project. And I lay there and I thought, no, because I was so ill. I thought, no, this is it. I'm either going to do it or I'm not. And I suppose for the viewers, I'm saying right now, we don't have to let it get to that point where our lives sometimes we need that because it's like a real wake-up call. However, we don't really need that if we're really paying attention and honoring the truth of who we are, and then dissolving the fears on a daily basis and being brave enough to say, okay, I'm frightened, I'm scared, I don't have the courage maybe to do it, and yet I'm going to do it. Because as I know, when I did that afterwards, after I have recovered, and I'm putting it all into action now, it's amazing how life steps in and supports when it
Yes.
really is your passion, and when you love doing it, or when you love it because of the result that you want, or because of the people that you're serving, and you have a calling to be helping those people or assisting those people. When it's from our heart, there's nothing that can stop it from manifesting.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Dr. Laura. So, what are you working on these days?
Oh, well, I've decided for the month of October to really work on self-love and make that an absolute priority, and to make it intentional with, how I'm eating, what I'm exercising, all of those strands that are really, I consider to be really important. And yet sometimes the days go by and the weeks go by, and it's like, have I exercised? Have I got a routine going? No. But now I'm really focusing on that. I have created a magazine that women can sign up for. It's a free magazine. The first one came out yesterday, actually.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah,
Yay.
because what I realized is that for 32 shows, I have the Women of Power show, which has been 32. And while I was lying there, Reverend Jim, I realized, oh my gosh, these shows are amazing. I'm going to actually highlight a woman a month and make a magazine out of it, and highlight her show. And so the first one came out yesterday with Dr. Ruth Miller. She's the feature woman there. And many, many women, people that have been on the Women of Power show, have contributed to the magazine. It's an online magazine, and it's I suppose created by women for self-identified women, although anyone can tune into this, because it's about the divine feminine, who we are as that divine feminine spark, and igniting that. So the magazine helps us to realize that we are all this power already, and we can tap into it right here and now.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Sounds like you're working on some wonderful things, Dr. Laura.
Creative projects, yes.
Yes.
Definitely.
Oh, cool. Well, I'm only working on one thing right now.
Yeah.
Actually, two, but one that I'm going to tell you
Tell
about
me.
today. Okay. The thing I'm working on right now is a pop-up class. And this pop-up class is based on the truth that there is a new energy resident on the earth right now. It is like an energy of light that is finer, yet stronger, and more penetrating, that penetrates to deeper levels of our consciousness, penetrates more deeply into our energies, and penetrates, creating powerful changes that enable powerful, more immediate, and more effortless manifestation.
Wow.
So how do we harness this energy and create the heaven on earth that this energy would allow?
I love that.
So I'm doing a pop-up class on Monday, October 23rd, and this pop-up class on Monday, October 23rd is called Creating the Kingdom of Heaven Now.
Beautiful.
It's a channeled class where my guides will come through and provide each person who participates guidance, individual guidance to answer their questions. Each person can ask a question. How can I create my heaven right now? What must I do to move forward and allow the heaven that is more available now than ever before because of this powerful energy? How can I harness this energy to create my own heaven on earth? And that pop-up class is on Monday, October 23rd from 7:30 to 9:30 via Zoom. And if anybody wants more information on that, They can text me at this number. They can check out my website, which we were just showing. And the slots are limited and they're filling fast. So if anyone wants to participate, I'd suggest that you do so sooner, register sooner rather than later. And that's what I'm working on.
It sounds so beautiful.
Yes, I'm so excited. I'm
Oh my
also
God.
so excited for you, Dr. Laura. And I just so appreciate you, your light, your energy, your presence. And I want to thank you for joining us here on the Miracle of Prosperity. Thank you so profusely. Buy her book, Dream Big, by Dr. Laura Topper. Too much light. You put yours up. Yes. Get
Yeah.
her book. It's absolutely wonderful. And I want to thank everyone for joining us today on the New Thought Media Network.